Hello, my sewing friends. My name's Diana and I'm the Wandering Sewist. And today I'm coming to you with a subscriber request. The request is for Simplicity 9525. And the problem is pouch A or B. And it's the subscriber has requested that I explain better how to do the zippers. Now I have cut out my pattern pieces and I have cut out the fabrics, and I have chosen to do the exterior in this really cute dog print fabric that is a waterproof canvas type of fabric. And I have cut the tabs, the zipper tabs, out of the same fabric. And then the interior is, I have cut out of this blue pull fabric, which is a plastic coated fabric that makes it waterproof. I'm making this as an experiment, but I'm going to give it to one of my sons who needs a pencil case anyway. So I thought I'd make it out of this. And then for the fleece, I am doing not a fusible fleece because of the pull. I can't press it. I'm doing a sew on, just regular cotton quilt batting. So on the instructions, let's go through the instructions. Now I read the instructions on how to do the zipper and I wasn't pleased with what I read because it seemed like, from the gist of the instructions that I have so far, just from skimming through them and cutting out my pieces, is you piece together the exterior, because the exterior can be quilted. You can cut it out of two different types of fabric or a bunch of different types of fabric and then quilt it together. I've just decided to use the same fabric for no reason other than just to make it go faster. So you put the exterior together and then you sew the exterior together, sides and bottom. And then you put on the zipper, and you have to work inside out and upside down to put on the zipper. And then you do the lining. And I am not sure why this is being done like this. For me, I'm going to rearrange the instructions. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the cotton batting to my lining pieces. I'm going to just take a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and just sew it on all the way around the outside. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Then I'm going to take my zipper, which I haven't picked a zipper yet, but then I'm going to take my zipper and I'm going to measure it to the right length, trim it down, and apply the zipper tabs. That's the next thing I'm going to do. So I will come back to you and show you that when I have those two steps done, and then we'll talk about the next step. Hey, I'm back. So I have read through all of the instructions completely, and I have also applied the sew-on interfacing to my lining. So my subscriber is specifically requested help with this pattern. So I was considering just putting the zipper pouch together the way that I normally would, which would be to sew the zipper tabs on and then sew the exterior to the zipper, sew the interior to the zipper, and then sew around the sides and bottom, leaving an opening, berth the bag, sew the zipper, sew the opening shut, and Bob's your uncle. You're done. But that was not the question from my subscriber. The question from my subscriber was, how do you do the zipper with these specific instructions? So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. not an expert by any means, but I'm going to try to help my subscriber. Okay, so I have my zipper cut down to 9 inches. Now I had to cut off both zipper stops because I only had long zippers. I don't think it matters. It's going to be covered up with a tab anyway, but until then, I'm keeping some clips on the ends of my zippers so I don't accidentally zip off my my zipper pull, because I have done that before. And I trimmed down the zipper tabs because they're only supposed to be this big. And then this is your stitching line right here. So I trimmed down my zipper tabs so they're the right size. All right. So step 1 is to make each side, stitch the fabric on stitch fabric number 1 side piece to fabric number 2 side piece, right sides together, stitch center seam, repeat for other sides. So this is the exterior. So I have my piece 1 and 2 for the exterior. So I'm gonna, that means to just put these right sides together and sew the center seam so that it will be put together like this. So I'm gonna go and do that. Oh, and the pattern doesn't say, but the seam allowances change throughout this pattern. So you have to be careful and keep your pattern piece close by, because it says right on here that a 1/4 of an inch or 6 millimeter seam allowances are included. But then on the top edge, it says 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to sew the 2 halves of the exterior, the front and back, together with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance with my machine set on a 2.5 millimeter stitch length. Okay, so I have my 2 front halves sewn together down the center. This is the front and the back, or vice versa, it's the exterior anyways. So since this is a like a plastic coated canvas type of fabric, I cannot press it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up the seam and just finger press it open a bit with my fingers so that it will lie flat as much as I can. And then I will just push it with my clapper. Push it with my clapper so that the plastic will crease as much as it can and it'll lie as flat as it can. I don't have a seam roller. If I had a seam roller, I would totally use a seam roller. So if you're using plastic coated canvas and you have a seam roller, that would be the way to go. But I don't have one. I don't really think I need to buy a special tool for something I don't use every day. So I'll just use what I have, it's fine. Try and be economical as much as possible. Okay, so now I'm just pressing that with the edge of my clapper, getting it open as much as possible. Okay, so here is my exterior for my pouch. Now, step 2 says to place the pieced pieces right sides together, matching the raw edges, and stitch side seams and stitch the bottom seam. So you're going to put them right sides together, and you're just going to start on this side and then stitch here, stop, back stitch, and then stitch all the way across the bottom, stop and back stitch, and then stitch up this side and then stop and back stitch. And since I am using a waterproof fabric, I do not want to use pins, so I'm using Wonder Clips to clip my pouch together. I'm trying to be a good example and do some sort of pinning or clipping because I tend to skip that step altogether. And if you were attending my live, then you would know that I have a problem with that, with taking those little shortcuts of skipping the pinning and going straight into the machine without pinning. But then on those other tricky areas, I can be a severe overpinner if I feel like it's challenging. All right, so I have clipped the edges. I'm now going to sew down this. I'm going to back stitch here, sew down, back stitch, cut my threads, come over here, back stitch, sew across, back stitch, cut my threads, come over here, sew, back stitch, sew up, and back stitch. And then I will come back to you for step 3. Okay, so I have sewn my 2 sides and my bottom seam together. So the next part says to full bottom corners, right sides together, matching seams, and stitch from dot to dot. Okay, so what they want us to do, what we're doing is we're boxing the corners to create the flat bottom. So you have this corner right here, and we want to open up this corner, and we want to match this seam to this seam, like this. So we're going to match those 2 seams together, and we're going to sew across this edge, and it's going to create the flat bottom for our box. So we're going to do that on both sides, and I'm just going to, because these are difficult to work with, I'm just going to alternate them. I'm going to push one to the right and one to the left, and then I'm just going to lock my 2 seams together like this, like as if you're quilting. When you're quilting, you lock the seams together like that. I'm going to give it a click so they stay, and then match up the other side like this. So you can see the bottom being formed. And I'll do the same to the other side. So again, in case you missed it, I have this cut out. I want to take this seam and I want to put them together. So you open this up and put those 2 seams together like this. Lock them in place. Give it a clip or a pin so it stays. So there, you want your seams to line up so it looks nice. And then clip or pin your ends so they stay. And then you can see that now your box has a flat, your bag box, bag box, whatever. Your bag has a flat bottom. And you can see the structure taking place for your little zippy pouch / pencil case or whatever you're going to use it for. So I'm going to go and sew across those 2 places right now, and I'll be back. Okay, so I have the 2 corners boxed. Just for fun, let's turn it right side out so we can kind of see what it's starting to look like. You just want to push these corners out a little bit. And if it's too bulky, you can always trim those corners down a little bit. I'm not going to bother. It's not going to make a big difference with this plasticky thick material anyway. So just to kind of get an idea of what it's starting to look like. So there's the boxed corners. That one's not pushed out very well. Let me try that again. So there's your boxed corners. This is the bottom of the bag. You can see it has a flat bottom to sit on. So starting to look like a little pouch. And eventually it's going to be closed up at the top right here like this. Okay, so I'm going to keep this turned right side out because the next step you need it turned right side out. So what you're going to do now is with the zipper. So it says to place the zipper to the case at one top edge. So that's either going to be, you know, this side or this side, whichever one. If you're right-handed or left-handed, depends on which one's easier for you to work with. Right sides together. So the right side is the side where the pull is. With the edge of the zipper tape even with the edge of the fabric and top and bottom stops, that's, if I had stops, they would hang 3/8 of an inch beyond. So since I don't have stops, I'm just gonna make a little mark with my pen that's 3/8 of an inch beyond the edge of the zipper tape so that I know where to stop sewing. So I just made a little mark. That's 3/8 of an inch from the edge of the zipper tape. It's really super easy to do that. You don't have to buy a special zipper because we're going to cover up the ends of the zipper with the zipper tabs anyway. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. You can use any zipper you have as long as it's 9 inches or greater. That's 23 centimeters. As long as it's long enough, you can use it. So don't stress about not having the right size zipper. Okay, so then it says, using a zipper foot, stitch 3/8 of an inch from the edge of the zipper tape. Okay, so that means that this is about 3/8 of an inch. So they want us to stitch really close to the zipper teeth. So it's really advisable to use a zipper foot. Okay, so I'm gonna open this as much as I can without my zipper stop falling off the end. I have to be careful. And you have to decide which side you want to sew it onto. And I'm just gonna do it like this, right side to right side. So I'm going to put my 3/8 of an inch mark at the edge of my seam so that I don't sew beyond there. And I'm just going to start clipping my zipper onto the top here. And I'm going to just clip it on all the way around and then switch my foot from on my machine to a zipper foot and sew this on. So I will come back to you and show you what the first half of sewing on the zipper looks like. Okay, so I've run into a problem. My zipper is too short. So they said a 9-inch zipper was long enough. And my zipper is, I cut it to 9 1/4. And I used the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance that they recommended. But it turns out that my zipper is too short. So I'm gonna have to get another zipper and I'm going to add an inch to it so that I can, I'll just save this for another project. I won't waste it. But I'm gonna add an inch at least to my zipper. But I think what I'm gonna do this time, actually I changed my mind. I'm not gonna trim down my zipper until I'm ready to apply my zipper tabs. I'm going to leave the zipper long. That way I can decide how long I want it. And I don't have to worry about it. So I'm gonna go grab a zipper and I'll show you what I mean. So unfortunately I don't have another one of those pretty light blue zippers, but I do have this dark blue. And since it's for a teenager, I think he'll appreciate dark blue anyways. So I have this zipper is really long. I'm looking for something in US measurements. That is, it's a 19-inch zipper. Okay, so what I'm gonna do though, is I'm just going to, when I sew my zipper on, I'm not gonna worry about the stop since it's not gonna be in the way. I don't have to worry about it coming off. I'm just going to take the middle of the zipper and put it in the middle of the bag. How do you find the middle of a zipper? Well, you fold it in half. Then you can make a tiny little notch with your scissors. tiny little notch with your scissors. And now you have marked the middle of your zipper. And I'm just going to match that up to the center seam in my exterior, and then also from there. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this right side to right side. So I'm taking the right side of the zipper, the center mark, and I'm going to put it to the right side on the center seam right here. And I'm just going to go and sew that around. And it says to only sew it on one side at a time, because then you open the zipper and you sew it on the other side. So I will clip this all the way on from the side seam to the side seam, and then I will come back and show you what I think the instructions mean to do next. Hi, it's me again. It's much later in the day. It's actually in the evening and the kids are all on their way to bed. So what I have done so far is I had sewed the zipper, just the first half of doing step 3. Now we're in the middle of step 3, and I had sewed the first part of the zipper right side to right side on the exterior of the pouch. So I just left my zipper long. I figure I can trim it at the end since you cover it with tabs anyway. But when the first time I sewed the zipper on, I had to do it twice, because the first time, I'm just picking threads off as I talk. The first time I sewed right through the center of my zipper. For some reason, I had my seam allowance very far off. So, you know, everybody makes mistakes. So I just ripped that out and started over. Okay, so on the pattern piece has these little dots right here in the corner, right here. So you are supposed to sew the zipper from dot to dot. And I didn't put the dots on my fabric because it's a plastic coated canvas. But I noticed that the dot is in line with where this angle is right here. So I just went from this angle to that angle. And that worked fine. Okay, so I've got the first half of the zipper on. Then the second part of step 3 says, to pin the other edge of the case to the other edge of the zipper, tape right sides together, stitch following the same procedure. Okay, and if you look at the photo shows the bag turned inside out. So turn your bag inside out first. Still fighting that cough a little bit, but it's going away. Now unzip your zipper. Okay, so now we want to take the part that's not sewn, the right side. This is where you have to be careful. Make sure you do right side to right side. And the hard part is the geometry of the thing, right? Because we have to do right side to right side on the outside here. So it's going to be sewn like this, right side to right side, so that it will still zip up. And you're going to do the same thing from the dot to the dot on this side. So I marked my center so I can line up my center seam. And then I'm going to clip all this on. And then go over and sew this from the dot to the dot. And then I'll come back and show you when I have that step finished. Okay, so I have sewn on both sides of the zipper. And if I turn it right side out, then you should be able to see, you should be able to just close the zipper, hopefully. The problem with doing it this way is there's no top stitching or anything, so it's super frustrating. Yeah, I don't like this method at all, and it's been frustrating for me to work with the zipper like this. And you know what? I think that when I think I'm gonna do another pouch using the same pattern pieces. After I conquer this pattern and I help my subscriber with this particular pattern, I'm gonna do the same pouch with the same pattern pieces, but doing it my way. And I think that we will discover that it's much, much easier. So here is the zipper installed. And this is just the exterior of the pouch. It's not lined or anything. I mean, if you're okay, you could just go with this, because if you were using it for like wet paintbrushes or something like that, this particular, and you like dog treats, you know, something you don't really care about, it'd be fine to use it this way. But let's go on to the next step. So it says step 4 now. Fuse the fleece interfacing to the wrong side of the lining pieces. So since I'm using pull fabric for my lining, I can't use the fusible fleece. So I use the regular fleece, and I just sewed it on with a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So that part is done. And then that was step 4. So step 5 says to place the lining pieces right sides together, matching the raw edges, stitch side seam, stitch the bottom seam, leaving a 15 centimeter or 6-inch opening. So you're going to put right sides together. I'm going to do the same thing that we did with the exterior. We're just going to sew the sides, back stitch here, back stitch there, clip your threads, sew a little bit in here, and then back stitch and clip your threads, and then skip a gap, and then back stitch and sew to the end, and back stitch again and clip your threads, and then sew this side, back stitching on both ends. So I'm gonna go and do that part. And it says in the second half of that step, it says to do the boxing of the corners on the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and do all of that in this step, since you saw me do it in detail with the exterior. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do it all and come back to you when all of step 4 is finished. All right, so I have finished assembling the lining. There's the hole in the bottom for birthing the bag. I may regret making it so small. We'll see. I can always open it up more if I need to. It's not that big of a deal. That's the thing about sewing, is you can always fix it. It's not a big problem, and it's just fabric, so don't stress. Don't stress. Okay, so that's all of step 5. Now step 6 says to fold down the ends of the zipper as shown. So they want you to put the ends of the zipper down like this, and then pin the right side of the lining to the wrong side of the zipper tape with the edges even, using a zipper foot and stitch following previous stitching. So we're going to stitch the lining to the zipper. It's showing the bag, the exterior like this, and then the lining is actually on the outside. So you put the exterior into the lining so that they have right sides touching. Like that. That's the wrong side of my exterior. My right sides are touching like this. So what I need to do is I need to pin the right side of the lining to the wrong side of the zipper. It's a little bit backwards to me, but okay. So the right side of the zipper is here. This is the right side. So I'm looking at my zipper. So this is the right side of my zipper. So this is the wrong side. This is the wrong side here. This is the right side. The little part, because it's sewn right side to right side on the exterior. So this is the wrong side. So I need to pin the right side of the lining to the wrong side of the zipper and then sew. So, okay, I'm just going to take these and match them up. And I'm going to just match it up here and sew on both sides of the zipper. And then I will come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, two things about step 6 that I needed to make note of is one, when I'm sewing the two together, I am actually sewing with my, the bed of my machine is this hand, and I am sewing inside the bag, and I'm just turning it as I go. So I have finished sewing the lining to the zipper, just following my previous stitching line, so it's double stitched there. And then the last part of step 6 says that we need to stitch on the ends. We need to stitch the lining to the exterior here. Now be sure that the ends of your zipper are tucked down inside your bag, because when we birth the bag next, they will come out then on the exterior. But if they're poking out and you sew over them, then you can't retrieve them. Okay, so make sure that before you start step 6, like they said at the beginning, you stuff the ends of your zipper down inside your bag. Okay, so what I need to do next is I need to go back to the machine and I need to sew from here to here and just reinforce it a little bit, because that's going to sew the exterior and the lining together. And this is going to be a stress point, because this is where the zipper starts and stops. It will start on one side and stop on the other. So you're going to be pulling on it a lot. So just sew it a little extra securely. Okay, so I have now the lining and the exterior sewed together all the way around the top. So step 7 says to turn the case right side out through the opening in the lining and press lightly and fold under raw edges of opening and stitch close. So I can't press mine, but that's okay. So I'm now pulling the exterior through the hole in my lining. This is called birthing a bag. You ladies out there that have had children, as you try to pull this exterior through the little hole, you will understand why it's called birthing. Okay, and it's always exciting because then you can see what your bag looks like. All right, so this is the birthing process finished. I just need to poke out my corners on my lining here. So you can see this is my lining. This is my exterior. So before I close up the hole in the lining, I'm just going to make sure that all of my corners are poked out, because of my fabric is I cannot iron it. So I'm just gonna go through with something pokey and poke through my corners. Make sure that they're sticking out nicely, because this will be my last chance to get in there with something to make them stick out nicely. So there, those are pretty cornery, pointy. So next, you're just gonna go through and close up this hole in the lining. So you can just pull on it like this and tuck the two ends in like this, and then you just sew straight across there. It's in the lining, nobody's ever gonna see it. And I will come back to you with step 8 as soon as I get this hole in the lining closed. Okay, so I have the hole in the lining closed, and I have my bag ready to have the zipper tabs put on. I just need to shorten these up. They're way too long. And I'm going to trim them, and I'm going to do the zipper tabs. So it says for step 8, fuse the interfacing to the wrong side of the tube tab pieces. So I am actually using the plastic coated canvas, so I can't fuse interfacing to it. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And it says close the zipper, and then mark the zipper tape 1/4 inch below the stop. But since I used a much longer zipper, so I don't have the little stop, it's fine. I'm just going to trim it, leave like 1 inch, and then make a mark 1/4 inch in. It's not a big deal. So you make a mark 1/4 inch in below the zipper stops, and you sandwich the end between two pieces of, you sandwich the end of the zipper between these two pieces of fabric. And then you sew that little thumbnail shape. It's like this on here over the end of the zipper, and then you just trim that little shape. You don't have to do that. You can do any old zipper tab that you want. I don't fancy having raw edges showing. So what I usually like to do is I like to sew the wrong side. So the wrong side, right side to right side, the end of the zipper like this, and then fold it back like that. But that is when I'm going to enclose the zipper inside of the side seams. But this particular bag, you have the zipper sticking out of the ends. So what I have decided to do is I am going to sew 2 of these together, right sides together. And I'm going to leave one of the ends open. I'm going to turn it through. And then I am going to turn the ends of the edge that are open underneath and stick the zipper in the hole and sew it shut, so that I have a nice zipper tab, but I don't have any raw edges showing. I don't like the idea of raw edges at all. So I'm going to change up the zipper tab a little bit. I really don't want, because this is for a teenager, and I know that if there's raw edges showing, it'll come apart in a couple of days. So I will come back to you and show you that when I have it finished. So I just took my 4 zipper tabs and I sewed them right sides together and made 2. And it doesn't really matter what size. The fun thing about zipper tabs, you can do whatever you want with them in any shape. So I'm just going to trim down the seam and trim off the corners, and then I'm going to turn them through. and then I will be able to just slide the zipper into the tab and fold down the end and just sew right over it. It's going to be easy peasy. Easy peasy. Okay, so I trimmed off the seam allowance, and I'm just going to turn it through. And depending on what fabric you use, the turning can be easy or difficult. I decided to use this, it's like a plastic coated canvas. So turning these through is not as easy as if it was cotton. And I'm just looking around for a tool to use, and I don't see one, but that's okay. Give it a little time, it will come through. So once I get both of these turned through, then I will have no raw edges, which is exactly what I needed for the teenage boys that this is intended for, because they are not gentle. And the other thing I notice about the pattern is we have not top stitched around the zipper. So when you don't top stitch around the zipper, it can be difficult to open and close it because the lining keeps getting stuck in the zipper. And I found that when I tried to close this zipper case, the lining kept getting stuck in the zipper. Look how hard it is, because it keeps getting stuck. So that's another thing I don't like about this method. Now we do top stitch the zipper, but it's the very last thing you do right before you're done. You do that after the zipper tabs. Again, this could be a lot less complicated if the pattern was done in a different order. So I'm going to finish off this one. I'm going to finish turning through my zipper tabs and top stitching around the zipper. And then I will come back and show you the finished zipper case and my thoughts about the pattern. Okay, so the pouch is now complete. I have put tabs on the ends. I trimmed my zipper down. I trimmed about 4 inches off of each end, and I put some tabs on the ends and top stitch around the sides of the zipper so that now it opens a little more easily and closes without catching in the lining, which was what was happening before. So this is the zipper pouch finished. So this is the pattern. This is Simplicity 9525. And I just walked you through sewing view A, the small short zipper pouch. Now the other zipper pouch B is exactly the same shape, it's just taller. So it's the same length, it's just taller. So that would be used for maybe toiletries or something. But this would be a good size for a pencil case. For size reference, here's my scissors. Here's my rotary cutter. Just so you can see the size of this particular pouch. Now, what do I think of the pattern? Well, I think the instructions make it overly complicated. There's no need to do a lot of the stuff that they do, and there are easier ways to do this. So I think the whole point of sewing the pattern the way that they did was so that you could get the zipper going off of the end and still have the end closed up. That's the point of doing it this way. Now, I follow Sarah Lawson from Sew Sweetness, and she has a method for making zippers come off of the end and and closing up so that you can have a zipper like this, but still assemble the traditional way, which is to first of all sew your exterior and your interior to the zipper, do the top stitching of the zipper, do all that first. Then you close up your side seams, your bottom seams, and turn it through. So if you go have a look on Sarah Lawson's YouTube channel, she has a video on how to veer a zipper off. There's a free pattern on her website at sewsweetness.com for the Tower crossbody bag. And in that pattern, she does the veering off of the zipper for the top closure of the Tower crossbody bag. That would be a great method to use for making this zipper case so that the zips come off of the ends. So, am I going to make this again? Yes. And I think I'm going to experiment with Sarah Lawson's method to do the veering off of the zipper so that it can come off the ends, and see if I can make it work for this pattern. Will I get around to it anytime soon? I'm not sure, because I have a lot on my plate right now. So I will have to let you know if I am going to get around to making a video about that. But my subscriber who asked about this, I will give you her name in just a second. Okay, so the name of my subscriber who asked about this pattern is at Leslie Escobar 5222, and she talked to me 3 days ago, and she says, could you do a video on the Simplicity 9525 with case A or B? I'm having a hard time with the zipper. It would be a big help. So Leslie Escobar 5222, I hope that this video has helped you to get through the struggle of the zipper. And I advise you to look at other YouTube videos on how to make zipper pouches, because there are a lot of YouTube videos on making zipper pouches. And there are much easier ways to make them than doing this particular pattern. But I'm glad that I was able to run through this pattern for you so that you could see how it was done. And you actually helped to motivate me to open up this pattern and to get it started, because I was kind of starting to lose my sojo a bit after the holidays and some personal things that have come up in my life. So this has helped me. This is exactly why I wanted to start a YouTube channel, was for community, because I think we should be there for each other and we should be helping each other. And I love that I have this space to do that. So Leslie, I hope we get a chance to talk more in the chat, and I'll see you all really soon. Bye.